as requested by the community. I'm going to get straight into it because I do not want to waste your guys' time, but I do need to make a few disclaimers first. So number one is that I am a student, so everything I say, take with a grain of salt. Go back into your charts, investigate the things I'm saying, and make sure they are true before you try to trade off of them. Number two is that past performances do not guarantee future results, and there is risk in trading. Now, what do you see? Pause the video, get a pen and a paper, write down what you see. Can you give you a second? If you said precision swing point, then you would be correct. Now, as we know, PSPs are just cracks in correlations, and the market tipping its hand at us saying there is about to be a change in the state of delivery. Now, beyond the scope, PSPs are in a 3-candle sequence. So there's the PSP itself, and then a candle to the left and a candle to the right. Now, keep in mind that a PSP does not have to be the highest high or the lowest low of these 3 candles. And for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be calling these candles by numbers. So make sure you gauge what I'm about to say so you won't be confused later on. So candle number 1 is the candle to the left of the PSP. Candle number 2 is the PSP itself. Candle number 3 is the candle to the right of the PSP. Now, for a second, I want you to completely disregard the PSP itself and only focus on candle number 1's closing price and candle number 3's opening price. Draw an imaginary line from 1 to 3. It should look something like this. Now we're going to look back at this, and with that same thought process in mind, I want you to compare these assets, looking at the same ones that we viewed earlier. I'll give you a second. You should have thought of something like this. So this is another cracking correlation within the PSP, which is a cracking correlation. So this is a 2-stage delivery, and this confirms PSPs. So this is what makes PSPs high probability. The turtle soup secret. Now, candle number 1 and candle number 2 give us insight on candle number 3. So our main goal is to focus on candle number 3. As soon as we identify that there is a high probability PSP, we have candle number 1, candle number 3 tipping its hand, and we have candle number 2 tipping its hand. So if the narrative is bullish, the assets that create a down close candle for candle number 2 will be weaker, and candle number 3 will turtle soup candle 1 and 2. If we're bullish, we want to buy below the opening price of candle number 3. So this is basic power of 3. This is nothing new. If the narrative is bearish, the assets that create an up close candle on candle number 2 will be weaker, and candle number 3 will turtle soup candle 1 and 2. If bearish, we want to sell above the opening price of candle number 3. Now I want you to look down below for a second at the low of the PSP. As you can see, we have an SMT with candle number 2 and candle number 3. Now, this is not random. And for some context, the narrative behind this chart right here, which you can't really see the whole chart, but the selected candles inside of the chart, the narrative was bullish, and the PSP that made the down close candle, both of them, candle number 3 turtle soup the PSP, but on the asset that made the up close candle during the bullish narrative made the failure swing. So keep that in mind. Make sure you write that down because that is one of those hidden gems. Now, quarterly alignment. So if you have a weekly PSP on the weekly time frame, then on candle number 3, you want to see a monthly SMT on candle number 2 on the 4-hour time frame. So that is basically, or basic, quarterly theory alignment. Same goes for the daily time frame. So if you have a daily time frame PSP, then you want to see a weekly SMT with candle number 2 and candle number 3, gauging the hourly time frame. for the setup. And this is where things get a bit deep. So the power of 6, 4-hour quarterly alignment. So there are 6 4-hour candles in a day, and I have them listed in the middle. What I did is I found a way to, with the information that I just shared with you previous, of 2 cracks and correlations at the same time with the PSP, combining SMT with that, you can also gauge it on a day-to-day basis, 2 times a day. In the morning, well, really 3 times a day, but we're going to focus on 2 times because that is higher probability. So in the morning and in the afternoon session. So indices and Forex are a little bit different. Forex is a little bit more difficult. You have to color outside the lines a little bit, but I'm going to speak on indices first. So if you have a 4-hour precision swing point, then you want to see a daily cycle sequential SMT. And note, the sequential SMT for the second and third candle, it can be intermarket, it can be hidden, it can be normal SSMT. It just has to be another cracking correlation to make it an even higher probability setup. So if the 2 a.m. candle within the indices triad creates a precision swing point, then the 6 a.m. candle will look back on the 2 a.m. candle and gauge another cracking correlation. During the PM session, if 10 a.m. made a PSP, then we will look at the 2 p.m. to look back at the 10 a.m. candle, engage another cracking correlation, creating a daily cycle SMT. Now, for Forex is a little bit different and a little bit more difficult to gauge, just because the 5 a.m. candle is overlapping quarters. So, it is the same with the indices. The 6 looks back the 2, except with the Forex, the 5 looks back on the 1. So, on that 5 a.m. candle, the 5 a.m. 4-hour candle, disregard the first hour. Remember whenever Day told us to focus on the opening and the closing of candles? That is essentially another play in this, I would like to believe. So disregard that first hour of trading. That will act as an accumulation on the 4-hour candle. And if you divide the 4-hour candle into 4, you have 1 4 hours. So you have 1 hour 4 times, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and then X, bringing it back to month 1. But the 5 a.m. will look back on the 1 a.m. if 1 a.m. is a PSP. Where you see those little star emoticons, those are PSPs. So look for PSPs at these key times of the day, and then wait for the next candle, and then that candle will look back on the PSP, and you can decide whether or not you want to take a trade if there is an SMT, a 3-stage cracking correlation. So the 5 a.m. will look back on the 1 a.m. as long as you disregard the first hour of trading in that 4-hour candle. And the 2 p.m. candle will look back on the 9 a.m. candle. So go back in your charts, look for this, study it. Study the weekly and the daily are easier per se. The 4 hours is a little bit more difficult to gauge, but everything in price is fractal. So you might need to watch this a couple times back, but you should be able to grasp what I'm trying to say. Now, finally, the Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail. You will not need anything else. You are the Holy Grail in trading. Sometimes you're going to mess it up, and that is completely fine and completely normal. This is why we have risk management in place, and this is why we keep control of our emotions. You are the one that decides if you stay consistent with any concept you trade. So that should be your number one priority, is keeping yourself in control and in the driver's seat of your trading. I hope you guys enjoyed. If this video gets to 100 reactions, then I will release a part 2, because this is still the beginning. this goes even deeper. So yes, thank you today for showing us precision swing points so we could dive into the charts ourselves and gain even more from it and make our own discoveries. But in the meantime, I will just be back testing and studying. If you have any questions on this, feel free to DM me. I will be more than happy to answer it.